All right, we got the sound in order now, but let me ask you this. Are you fired up?
Yeah.
Did you feel the poets here? Do you find what they spoke of tolerable?
No.
While the words are beautiful, what they described was horrific. And what I'm here to tell you about, it doesn't need to be that way. But y'all have a role to play in that, and a role to play right now. So I am very glad to be back in New York for this weekend and to speak here at Revolution Books. And you give yourselves a hand, too, for being here. Yeah. I don't think that all of us really fully know how much it matters that we are here today. Coming to the end of 2024 and going into 2025, the end of a year that saw genocide of unspeakable proportions carried out by our government or with the support and guidance and funds of our government in Gaza. And there's been genocides all over the world, especially in Ethiopia. Horrific. So what I want to do today is, first off, salute Revolution Books.
Yeah.
I want to salute the artists who did an incredible procession through the store, and more important, or just as important, they're doing it in the streets to support the people of Gaza and of Palestine more broadly. I want to salute Brad and Mahogany, so give them all a hand. And I want to salute Revolution Books, and I want to salute Bob Avakian, the revolutionary leader on who this store is based, on the work that he's done, makes it possible to understand the situation that we face today and how we could get free. And that's going to require all of you. And let's not mince words or not speak falsely now. We are in a very perilous situation in the world today. The danger, past the tipping point, of possibly the extinction of the human species or life as we know it due to the devastation of the environment that is sitting right here. Yes, the people you put hope, some, maybe not everybody here, but that people put their hope in the Democrats. Drill, baby, drill is what they did too. Set records, fracking. And then there's the climate deniers and the health deniers who are coming into power, the fascists. And it's an existential crisis, as I said, around the environment, and is an existential crisis around the danger of nuclear war. Just the last few weeks, a missile was fired from Russia, a missile that has the potential to be devastating to humanity. And in response to what? In response to missiles being fired into the territory of Russia. We face a serious challenge. The world is being torn asunder right now. Fascism is coming to power and control of all branches of this government. A fascism, a MAGA Trumpian fascism, a fascism that will be a qualitative change in how this oppressive system has been ruled. An open, undisguised dictatorship, and what has been a dictatorship all along. And as I said, I want to give a salute, and I think this is also to be a toast, so if you have something to toast, you can toast too. To the bookstore, Revolution Books, and to Bob Avakian. And I want to talk about why that's so. Because without a way out of the madness, without a way to get free from all this, then it doesn't just go on, which it will if they don't destroy the planet first, if they don't destroy humanity first, if they don't rob people of any dignity at all. And there is a whole other way we could be living. And this is what's really important. But that is going to require a fight, as our poet said. Brad spoke of peril. This is a time of great peril. But what's hidden from you is it's also a time of possibility. It's also a time of potential to get this monster of a system off the backs of people here and around the world, so no longer are people dominated and destroyed by a system that discriminates against them for the color of their skin, for their nationality, for their gender. A system that subordinates people to each other and sets everyone and everything against each other. And that system is the capitalist imperialist system, and that's what's at the root of all the problems we face. And there is a way out of the madness. There is a way to a new future. And that has been charted by the revolutionary leader, Bob Avakian. And I want to encourage you, there are social media messages coming from Bob Avakian that describe the situation we face and the way out of this, what we need to do, and how we're going to get free. And when you think about what is up for humanity right now, what is really sitting in front of us, and very urgently with the coming to power of this fascist regime, and of course they're already acting as if they are in power, which will give you some sense of this is not a repeat of 2017 to 2020. This is not, part two, the pathetic sequel to the first movie. This is a qualitative change. And Bob Avakian has said, we can no longer afford to allow these imperialists to determine the destiny of humanity, to dominate the world and determine the destiny of humanity. But it is a scientific fact that it is possible to bring about a whole radically new world that overcomes all forms of oppression and exploitation. And no, this isn't heaven on earth. This is a humongous struggle that we have to wage right now to get to that point. And then there's a blueprint for how we could really go to work in overcoming everything that holds us down. All forms of oppression, all forms of exploitation. I could be prone to really going into this in depth, but that we can do informally. And you need to get into some of the works of Bob Avakian, including the strategy, building up the basis to go for the whole thing with a real chance to win. The broadsheet that Molly held up before. We need and we demand a fundamentally different way to live, a fundamentally different system. This is possible. This is possible. But here's the thing, it's not possible without you. We have the leadership we need. The actual leadership, the person of Bob Avakian, who's really, I just want to commend again, I'm going to take a little detour here, but it's not really a detour because it's actually at the heart of the point. For people to watch these interviews that Sansara Taylor and I did with Bob Avakian. Because what you see in these interviews is somebody with heart and soul for humanity, who understands to be that way for humanity, you have to be hardcore for revolution. And that's the challenge that I want to put to all of you. This is not a time, as he said, for people to be demoralized and despondent and despairing and all this, looking in the mirror and feeling really bad. This is a time that has to be seized, and it can be. But that requires you. This is a time that requires determination. This is a time that requires courage. And we need the poems, and we need the songs, and we need the paintings that inspire us to that courage. But we need more than that. We need an understanding of how we could actually win, how we would create a new society. If you experience oppression, if you feel, as they carried the young singers from Colombia, the babies, the symbols of the babies, you can feel that. And if you've experienced that, you know what that feels like. You know you can imagine what happens, but you don't know what caused it. For that, you need a scientific approach to understand reality. You could say, I want to be free. But to be free, you've got to be organized. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be in a movement that's going to actually change the world. This is the time for that now. Not next week, not after New Year's, not the month after that. It has to start tonight. Tonight. You need to get with and work with Revolution Books if that's what you want to do. If you want to get on the front lines of bringing about a new world, you've got to get with the RevCom Corps for the emancipation of humanity. This is where you need to be, because we have some serious stuff in front of us, and we don't have a lot of time to do this in two senses. One, there is a fascist regime coming. They are moving. They are telling you right now what they're going to do. They put it in writing. In Project 25, Trump has told you over and over again, he's appointed a reactionary, fascist cabal of lunatics who are going to kill all of us. Mahogany did a poem about COVID. Well, here's an idea. Let's get rid of vaccines. Let's get rid of science. Maybe we could use a little bit of polio and measles to spice up life. This is what's coming on the one end of things. But it's more than that. You're actually talking about they're changing the rules of the game. And look, fascism is a different form of rule of the same system we've been living in. The books on either side of you, these tell of the crimes of this system that was founded on the system of capitalism and slavery, exploitative, oppressive systems. And to pave the way for that, there was a genocide of the native people. And this proclivity to genocide, to dominate the world, still exists today in this country. Its time can be up. But again, I'm going to say this to you. And it's good news. There's a way out of the madness. If there wasn't good news, then, we could just say, hey, well, what can we do? But there's good news. There's a strategy. There's a vision of the new society. And there's all of you. But you need to get involved. There's a lot of different ways for people to do that, but you need to get involved in bringing this system down. And our first step, our most urgent step right now, while we're preparing for the time when we could actually make a revolution, we say, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. And that's not just a stand. That's not just because it sounds good or because it feels good and because it puts us on the right side of what's going on. It's something that has to be actualized. It's something that has to be achieved. And that's going to take a hell of a struggle. And I will say for the RevComs and for the RevCom Corps, well, even I'm not a spokesperson of it, but for the RNL show, that we're not kidding about this. We are out to unite extremely broadly with all kinds of people to create a societal crisis of millions of people, to make it impossible for these motherfucking fascists to rule another fucking day. And if we don't do that, it's at the peril not just of us in this room and the people here, it's at the peril of humanity. You have to understand that there come times in history when you're called upon to rise up and to do what needs to be done and to not be wallowing and taking care of me. Anybody who wants to in the break can talk to me about a half dozen to a dozen movies that will tell you what happened to the people in Germany and in Italy who thought they could just get along and keep their families safe. It doesn't work that way. There come times in history when things get thrown up, and this is such a time. But, again, and I'm saying this a number of times because I really want you to understand what Bob Avakian is saying by going to listen to him in the social media and to read it, but to hear me bring that basic message right now that we refuse to accept a fascist America. And we need to make that real, and that requires all of you. And as part of doing that, in relationship to doing that, you need to get into Bob Avakian and get with the RevCom Corps, because in that struggle, there could be the possibility where there's a societal crisis of such dimensions that millions of people learn about the Constitution for a new socialist republic in North America and are comparing a system that gave rise to this creature, Trump, and the fascism he represents, and say, fuck that. That's what kind of system gives rise to a leadership like that? That could not be a good system. People will look back in history and say, what the fuck were those people thinking? How could they possibly do that? Well, it was a system that spawned it. And then you start reading the history and seeing genocide after genocide, war after war, political prisoners. Do you know how many years in U.S. history the U.S. invaded a country or staged a coup or manipulated an election? Every year since its founding. That's the answer to that question. This system, as we also say, is thoroughly rotten and illegitimate. And that's why we need and we demand a whole different way to live. A whole different way to live. Nothing in common with this system. And a fundamentally different system. And that is going to be an amazing struggle. And so, let me just say one more thing about Avakian. You know, some of us are young enough to remember when socialism actually existed in the world 40, 50 years ago. And it was an amazing thing in the Soviet Union in the early days, the first decades, China up until Mao died in 1976. And there was a sense that there's a different future that's possible and these people are fighting for it. But those revolutions were defeated a long time ago. And ever since then, people have been told that there's no alternative. This is the best system there is. Or at least it's the only system, so you might as well try to make it better or get by within it. And here's the problem. For as great as those revolutions were, they didn't have a way out of to really get to where they needed to go. There were flaws in it, as it will be in any society that knew a new system. And Bob Avakian, over decades, has gone to work on this, to understand where did we go wrong? What were the problems of it? And he didn't just, as he's worked on this, he didn't just enumerate this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. As he was working on this, a different vision, a different scientific approach emerged. And that's what you're getting in here. A whole different way to understand the world as it actually is and how it could be transformed and changed to bring about a far better world that could actually get to a new society that understands the complexities of trying to fundamentally, just think about two things here. Imagine a society that actually provided for, and this was in one of the poems, I think it was in Mahogany's poem, decent housing, decent health care, food, shelter, work, play, creativity. Imagine what that would be. And to get there is a very complicated process. But there is now a blueprint for how we would work our way through that, how we would fight for that. So there really is a situation where, you know, there was the theory of revolution and communism before Bob Avakian, and now there's the theory we need, the theory we have to get humanity free. And you find that at this store. And it is enriched by all the thousands of books in here that bring to you the reality of life and the imagined world in poetry, theater scripts, in novels, all of this. But all of this has to be synthesized in a way that we could do what? Free the spirit from its cell. Free people from the oppression of millennia of oppression. So with that, I've taken the time rather to bring this message to you, because without it, we will have had a great day at Revolution Books. But the world will stay as it is. But actually, as I said, it really won't, because it's careening off a cliff. But we have what it takes to stop that. And more than stop that, we have what it takes to free us and to free all of humanity here and all over the world, overcoming all the divisions, the things that divide us around gender, race, nationality, between those who work with their hands and those who work with their minds. Just think of what we could do if we were free of this system and if we worked together to do that. Yes, worked and sacrificed together. So with that, now, I know I brought some heavy shit to you, but this is the liberating shit. This is the cold, liberating truth that comes from the warmth of the heart that wants to free ourselves and all of humanity. So thank you for being here, and let's go.